Good morning, everybody. This is the Cigar Show, episode 7.
Good morning.
7, guys.
7.
They said it wouldn't last. Well, I said that, but, nobody pays attention to me anyway.
No.
Anyway, we are here at the Calypso Cigar Shop and Lounge in Richardson, Texas. You're getting a different angle of the shop today. We're actually in the public lounge portion of the store. See, we've got these great leather chairs, there's TVs all around, and just a great place to come have a smoke.
They let us out of the cellar.
Yes, we did.
Yay!
Exactly. Joining me, of course, is the lovely Faith Cox.
Good morning.
And the super sexy Big Tony Gomez.
Cranky today.
Cranky
Says
Tony
Randy,
Gomez.
but that's
He
okay.
He is cranky, man. Come on.
No,
Don't you
man.
think
I
he's
finally got my coffee, so I'm okay.
You're okay? Well, good.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you to that one, and I'm going to quit sticking my hand in front of my face, because why would you block perfection, really? That would be ridiculous.
What I'm talking about.
We had a topic last week. We're going to talk cigars. This is the Cigar Show. And, I forgot to do the shout out for our producer, Jerry Morris. Jerry's working a little different today because we're trying this different locations. So thank you, Jerry. We talked pizza for a little bit last week. And before we get into cigars, let's talk a little bit about pizza. What are your favorite styles? How do you like to eat leftover pizza? That's going to be a big one, and there could be some contention on this one. We could be getting into some fist fights on this one. So, anyway, so Faith, why don't you start us and tell us what is your favorite style / variety of pizza?
So my favorite pizza is a thin and crispy crust,
Okay.
and I always go for any kind of meat lovers.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
generally, if they have that, I also go for more like, I know this is a silly phrase, but more Italian, because I know pizza is Italian, but more like with like basil and all the different cheeses and mushrooms and onions. So I get pretty fancy with my pizza.
Right, okay.
I love my pizzas. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a
Well,
little
most
bit of
meat
a
lovers
pizza-
don't have mushrooms and vegetables.
Do what?
Most meat lovers don't have the veggies. They would just mention.
Well, yeah. So I either have like one or the other.
Oh, okay. So you don't mix.
It's always either meat lovers or I go
Okay.
for like the veggie
Okay.
mix.
All right, Tony.
Well, to me, nothing beats a good brick oven style pizza. The kind of I kind of even delve into the kind of the Mediterranean style crust, but the good Sicilian style crust. But that's what I like, and I like mine sometimes done the plain kind, like with just the what do you call them, the one that they did for the Queen with just the tomatoes and the olive oil.
Margherita pizza?
The margarita pizza.
Okay.
There you go. That one. Or I like to do the. There's one place in town that's my favorite, and they do it. They call it the all the way with all the meat and which is pretty much just a deluxe style. But yeah, just the brick oven style. That's my favorite kind. But I delve into the other styles as well. But brick oven is the way I go, brother. That's
Okay.
my claim to fame right there, man.
I just like pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So the only pizza I really, really don't like I don't like the very thick crust.
Yeah.
I don't mind a good hearty crust. That's fine, especially if it's got the right toppings and the right amount of cheese and the right sauce.
Right, I agree.
But I don't want it so doughy that's all I'm really getting out.
It
of
has to
pizza.
be cooked right.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the problem with the thick crust. If
Mhm.
they're not, you bite into a pizza and man, you get half uncooked dough. That's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, and I just can't do that. But I also love the thin crust very much. So I mean, I like the crispiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I had my druthers, I'd like to be like in between the thin and the the medium-sized thick crust, as long as the crust is crispy. And you can get that sometimes, and when you get that, it's almost like perfection.
Mhm.
It's like finding a $5 bill and an old pair of pants.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, I landed perfection today. This is great.
See, my
You know?
least favorite is going to be like the hand tossed is what I get. I've heard it defined as. To me, it's just generic style. Like just, hey man, we're going to put a little pizza out there and throw a little sauce on it. I mean, to me, it's just, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's just mailed in.
Right.
Just didn't do it.
Well, my favorite pizza place in Dallas, and the reason why it is, we're not going to endorse anybody because they don't pay us. If you want to pay us, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I started eating this place's pizza back in the mid-'90s. I know, before you were born. And
Don't say it.
well, she
Don't
was.
say it.
It is before she was born. And they were a little tiny hole in the wall. Now they're huge, and they've got 4 or 5 locations.
Don't say it. Don't take my place. If you take my place, go ahead. Go
I'm not
ahead.
going to mention any place. They're not paying us, so we're not endorsing them. But anyway, they started as a little tiny thing, and you could get a large 2-topping for $5 if you picked it up. And I was, believe it or not, actually young in '95,
Wow.
and didn't have a lot of money, and didn't even have a car. But I would order it, and I'd walk to the pizza place to pick up the pizza so I could get my $5 pizza.
Yep.
And the thing that I loved the most about it was their sauce. Their sauce was so garlicky and oregano-ish, and it was so good. And to this day, it is still my favorite pizza place, even though they've blown up into a somewhat chain.
Nice.
But sauce is very important to me.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I find with a lot of the big name places, the ones that advertise on TV, is you don't get a really good sauce from any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that makes a surprising difference. I, for one, have a unique difficulty when it comes to eating pizza because I actually can't have any gluten because I have celiac disease. But so it's been challenging finding good gluten-free places, and they're one of my favorite places, whether it was gluten-free or not. It's also in Dallas, and I think it's also in San Antonio. There's 2 locations. One of the best places because they make their own gluten-free crust,
Okay.
and it's delicious. And they have like all types of pizza. It's actually kind of like one of those gourmet pizza places.
Yeah.
There's only 2 locations. They're really expensive,
Okay.
but so worth every cent.
Okay. Cool. What ingredient do you like the most on
I
pizza?
thought Faith was about to give the hours to the place, but
Did
anyway.
she say that she had silly?
I-
Did she say she had silly ass disease?
no, come on, man.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
No,
Just
I mean,
Mr.
she-
Oh,
just
God.
ask her a
Okay. All
question.
right. So anyway, and I'm the cranky one, but anyway. So, but what was your question again?
Your favorite ingredient on
Oh,
pizza?
well, my favorite.
What makes or breaks a
It has
pizza?
to be the cheese. It has to be the cheese, man, because it has to have good consistency. It can't be greasy cheese. It has to be nice and textury cheese, nice consistency, and it can't be like the cheap processed. It
Right.
has to be. And I like it when they mix in the fresh mozzarella also.
Yeah.
know, so that's always a plus. But the place that I like has been in Dallas forever.
Okay.
Started out down over off of Central Expressway and Mockingbird. Everybody knows the place that I'm talking about. And they've also blown up into several locations. The owner of the place was an iconic figure in Dallas for many, many years. There was even innuendo that surrounded the place for several years. It's a wonderful establishment. I've loved it for decades. I've eaten there since I was a kid. So, as you can tell, but that to me will always mean pizza to me.
I know which place you're talking about, and the only problem I have with them is they don't have pepperoni. They use salami instead of pepperoni.
Ooh,
Don't say
I
that.
love that.
Hey,
I hate that, man.
don't
I
say
love pepperoni.
don't disparage that place too loud.
No, I like
brother.
their pizza. I
so
like their pizza. I just want real pepperoni. I don't want.
There's nothing wrong with salami. You can have some
I like
salami
salami.
once in a while in your diet. Nothing wrong with you got a problem with salami. You want me to make a phone call down there?
They're probably going to come after you for
they
that
can,
terrible Italian
They can
accent.
straighten you
It's probably
out
what they're
there,
gonna do.
So anyway,
Anyway, so I found that I really like, and somebody brought in one of the chain restaurant pizzas the other day, and it was fine. Don't get me wrong. Pizza's pizza, as far as sustenance goes. It's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I hate it when I pick up a piece of pizza and I can just take the bread off. I want the cheese falling off of it. I want the gooiness and all that stuff.
That's
If
always
I
nice.
don't have that,
I agree
then
with you,
feel like
brother.
I'm eating a crappy pizza. I can get a Red Baron pizza for that. Which there's nothing wrong with Red Baron. I've eaten a ton of them in my life.
Hold on, frozen pizza's a whole different show, brother, because you're
I
getting
know.
into a whole different
I know.
realm there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you. Yeah.
I like that flowing cheese thing.
Yes,
I love that.
yes,
I-
yes.
I like.
Well, you're allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, but I look at it to have good pizza. Hey, wait a minute.
That,
Took her a second.
it's that disease. It's that disease creeping up on her. So
Well, I mean, because I like a thin and crispy.
Mhm.
The cheese has to be good.
Well, that would be hard for it to be falling.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Falling.
agree with Tony. It has to be good cheese because, especially with thin and crispy, if it gets thin and crispy, excuse me. It
We
can't
took a
be
week
too
off
greasy.
and we're rusty.
Yeah. It can't be too greasy. That just
Right.
messes up any pizza. Doesn't matter
Well, I
what.
like it greasy. I mean, I like to see little grease droppings falling.
yeah, I
off
don't,
there.
I don't,
Add some flavor to
man,
it.
I don't know, bro.
You guys just don't know flavor. So anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead, Faye.
Well, that was all. That was all I was gonna say.
Okay, real quick, we've got one more minute left in this segment. Are you anti reheating it in the microwave?
Yes,
Leftover pizza.
yes.
No.
There is nothing
I'm not
wrong
either.
with
I'm not
throwing
either.
it in
There's
the
nothing
oven.
wrong. Yeah, there is.
It takes
too long.
it takes 6
And
minutes,
sometimes
6,
it makes
7
it-
minutes.
Sometimes
Well,
it makes it too crunchy or too
nah,
crispy.
you just got to keep an eye on it. That's all you got to do.
Eh.
It takes that. Yeah.
It takes 30 seconds in the microwave. I'm
Whatever.
good.
You don't have 5 minutes? Jeez, come on. Anyway, come
If I
on.
had 5 minutes, I'd have eaten it the night before. It wouldn't.
No, either eat it cold or put it in the oven for 5 minutes.
You know, I like
or
cold
just-
pizza. I really do.
There's nothing wrong with cold pizza. I agree with that. But that was really early bachelor days for me.
Yeah.
But oven.
Okay, real quick, so we're about to leave. I have a friend who is from England, and he hates melty cheese. He hates it. What he'll do is he'll order a pizza at night and then eat it the next morning. He puts it in the refrigerator and eats it the next morning because he doesn't like melted cheese. And it was kind of funny.
What was the first part of that sentence? Or that first part of that?
He doesn't like melted cheese.
No,
He's from
the
England.
very first. He's from.
England.
Well, see, there you go, right there. So,
Well,
yeah,
okay.
There you go.
Anyway. All right, well,
I
that
know.
concludes our pizza segment. Surely we pressed some hot buttons, so please feel free to comment, and we would appreciate it. And
Bring us your pizza comments.
absolutely, that'd be great. Now we're going to go on to, we're going to touch the cigar page. How about that for a cigar show?
How about that?
We had a listener ask us a question that I think we should spend a little time discussing.
A good question.
It really was. And if you knew this guy, you'd be shocked that he'd come up with such a good question. But no, I'm joking. He's a really good friend of ours and loyal listener. He listens or watches every week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
And what he wants to know is, when you have a bad cigar experience, he wants to know who the primary person to blame should be. Is it the manufacturer? Is it how the store is storing it? Is it how the rep treated it? Etc. Combination of all three. What would be? We have our own opinions because we've dealt with all aspects of it. What do you think would be the most important aspect for causing a cigar to be bad?
Well, the one that
And by bad, we don't mean taste or anything. We mean construction.
The one that I see as a customer very often is bad storage. So the people who are selling the cigars and either they don't have a humidor or they're not taking care of the humidor, making sure the humidification is right, and they just leave it and let the cigars fall apart because their humidification is at 90. There's a store somewhere in Huntsville, and it's right by my grandparents' house. I used to go to get a cigar, but give it a week or two, and I realized, wow, they aren't taking care of their cigars at all, and they're just disintegrating. Of course, nobody is buying the cigars from that place, but the problem I see a lot is people who aren't taking care of them
Right.
because they have no clue how to take care of cigars.
Well,
They just sort of added it to their inventory.
Right. They're not a cigar store per se. That's
No.
just something that they sell.
Yeah.
I got you. Because I was a rep, Tony's a rep. I didn't even know there was a store that sold cigars other than the big liquor chain in Huntsville that has cigars. So I didn't even know there was a place you could go get cigars other than that. Other than maybe a gas station and get a machine rolled cigar. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this could. I mean, there's a lot of
There's
elements
no correct
to this.
answer. It's just
Yeah, and you know, man, as far as you know, like the taste of a cigar and everything like that, and if it's not burning correctly, well, that's a manufacturer issue.
yeah.
Clearly, if it's falling apart on you because of dryness and everything, that's a storage issue. Now, the storage issue can come from two things. The storage issue could come from it's not being humidified properly. It could be put out on a sales rack that's not humidified in the store. I've seen situations to where the stores put stuff out in 5-packs and they don't put a beta pack in them, and they just put them out on the sales floor to kind of sell them quicker. Situations I've seen reps deliver cigars and they keep them too long, and they don't get them to the store.
Are you answer all the questions?
You know,
all the reasons?
Yeah, I mean,
I get to say a reason.
well, you know, I mean, I'm just going to kind of, I'll cut mine there, but
Okay.
but those are just a few of the quick ones that I can think of right offhand. But you know, not burning properly, manufacturer,
Okay.
dryness and falling apart. It could be either the.
Yeah, that's either.
But now it depends on the mode of transport. Now, if that cigar got sent by the distributor, the rep has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But if the a rep that delivers to the stores, then it could fall. It could fall on the rep, but it could fall on the store also. So it just depends, man. You know, and there's situations to where you know, there's humidors aren't being ran properly. Matt runs his very well. Matt runs his great. I mean, it's interval and everything. Brandon over at Renegade, you know, runs his great. Guys down the road, you know, Jeff over at Main Street runs his great. Guys over.
There's no one really in Dallas.
Yeah, I TFW's pretty much on top of it, man. As far as I mean, there are a few spots that could probably, you know, here or there, probably use some tutelage as far as what they're doing in their humidors. But pretty much everybody's on top of their game here in town. But it's in the outlying areas. I think, like she mentioned, you know, Faith mentioned Huntsville.
That's where you find the most.
Scott Lewis, you know, one of our fellow reps, man, he mentioned one time this old man that just used to go over to the sink and get water from the tap and put it in the you know what I mean, just get straight sink water and fill up his humidor or his you know, he didn't use distilled water.
Right.
And that's just a simple fix, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, distilled water, man, it's $1 a bottle, you
It's
know.
the same as a jug of water. It's
Yeah,
just
you know,
of drinking water. I know.
Anyway.
Well, I was joking with you, but I wanted to kind of elaborate more instead of answering it all in one question. But,
You got it. You got the floor, Big Daddy.
but
Go ahead.
With, you brought up a good point. Not burning right, twigs, that kind of thing. That's definitely a manufacturer's issue. Dryness, I'm going to say it's 60-40 store over rep. But by the same token, and as a former rep and I'm still a rep, and as a rep with that Tony is now, it is very difficult. We get sent samples, and we live in a state that has a very weird climate. You know, it's been cold as hell the last few days, not few weeks. And yesterday it was 65 degrees, and today it's supposed to be 65, I think, again today. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be cold again. So it's very hard. There's a lot of variables that go into how we as reps can store our cigars here. Most of the time what I've seen is they have, most of us use coolers, you know, ice chest, whatever you want to call them, with blue ice packs in them or something like that, to keep them cold, because it seems that at least to keep the cigar cold, it's not going to, you know, it's not going to, the heat's not going to get to it, and the heat can cause a lot of damage to the cigar. But then in the summer, you're dealing with the heat, so the ice helps there. But it's more humid in the summer, so the humidity aspect isn't as big a deal as it is in the winter, when we're now wondering how we're going to keep the cigars humidified. But the bottom line is, I would say 60, 70, this isn't scientific in any way. I'd say most people buy those cigars in a store and smoke them within the week, for the most part.
Yeah.
You do have your people that sit on them for a while and that sort of thing, and that's cool.
Yeah.
So, if they're smoking a dry cigar, then it's mostly going to be because of the store that they're buying it from. If a rep happens to give away a sample at an event and it's dry, then that's when you definitely would blame the rep.
Yeah. I take an added. I remember Brandon Hayes told me something a long time ago. Just kind of. Because I mentioned that one time that I got a kind of dry cigar from a rep one time, and it wasn't anything intentional or anything.
Right.
It's just. But what Brandon told me was, man, that the best rule of thumb for a rep to do is just limit the amount. What he knows he's gonna work with that day, just kind of, you know what I mean? That's what you need to take out. You know, just
Yeah, but
kind
if
of.
you're going to be in Houston for a whole week,
Well, yeah,
then you got to carry a lot of
I mean, I understand. Yeah, and that's a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're local and you're, kind of work with what you do on a daily basis, so I try to do that. But also, man, I mean, the more Boveda, the better. I see Jerry Catrone out there, and man, he Bovedas up like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and
I left that out of my process. But yeah, I just
and
went
so,
to packs with you.
but yeah, and that's another thing. And a lot of times, it's just keeping on top of it, taking your things out of your car with you. If you know you're going to be out of your car for a long time, or you know what I mean. Man, you don't want to lug that big old box out of the car with you, but you just might have to. So there's just some things here and there that you can kind of do to kind of ensure the quality of them. But, I think there's guys that stay on top of the humidors around town like crazy, man. They do interval checks. Jay Davis over at Blue Smoke is another guy. He's a madman when it comes to humidor checks. He actually does like 3-hour checks and stuff like that, man. So he has you text in reports to him. So he likes to do that. There's and I see other shops doing that too, man. So
Matt was an engineer.
Matt, and I know Matt.
His attention to detail.
Matt, and you can hear Matt's. His goes off. You can hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and he stays on top of that. So
Yeah.
So I know that I see guys working. When I was down in Houston and Austin, I saw the same thing. So big kudos to these shop owners. Around Texas.
As you said, though, it is mostly the outliers that you will encounter that part of it. As far as store owners, really, they're when you get a bad one from a store, then that's really kind of got to be all on that store, because they've got the perfect situation. Should have a good room to store these things.
Yeah.
And they should have them in a good location in the humidors where they're not going to get dry. So I would think, that's the key. If you're consistently getting bad cigars from a cigar shop, then you might want to rethink.
Yeah.
But tell them about it. Let them know.
Yeah.
Don't complain. But just say, man, last 3 or 4 times I've gotten cigars here, they've been dry, and give them a chance to fix it.
These shop owners around town will definitely work with you, man. If you bring up a concern, these guys will work with you, no doubt, man. And I'm not saying empty out your humidor and go expect to go.
Right.
I'm just saying,
Well, that was a couple of fun topics.
Yeah. Very useful.
As you can see, if you make comments or suggestions, we will incorporate you into the show. That's just very cool. That goes out to Mike Roger for his wonderful question.
Thank you, Mike.
And we're going to close out this episode. Christmas is coming up. We'll talk about Christmas plans next week for everybody. Merry Christmas,
Merry
and
Christmas.
happy holidays to everyone else.
We got the Christmas party Saturday.
We've got a Christmas party coming up December 15th, this Saturday here at Calypso. Thank you.
Cigars will be in the house.
Marrero Cigars will be in the house. Trying to wrap it up. Jerry's giving me this. Well, he also said I was number 1, but I don't know what that meant. But anyway, special shout out to the great Jerry Morris for, there he is, he shows it again. the great Jerry Morris for being our producer. Special shout out to, I'm going to say it right this time, Jaron Hirschwaver.
Oh, close.
Close enough. That's close as I've gotten. Jaron's one who gets us all hooked up on YouTube and everything. We appreciate what he does. For Faith Cox, for Big Tony Gomez, I'm Randy Rankin. We're at Calypso Cigar Shop and Lounge. We'll see you next week.